Okay, yeah. So it's a Dodge Dakota, 1997, and we're taking this rear end out and we're putting it in Dylan's truck. But this one's got a different crown gear, so we have to change the crown gear. But we got to pull this apart, and this is a limited slip differential. So Dylan's very excited because his other one was a differential, and a limited slip differential makes it so when you're driving and you're in a slippery place, instead of one wheel spinning, the differential keeps the spider gears from spinning easily. There's like brake pads or some kind of brake system inside of it that lets it slip. So when you're making a tight turn, you don't wear your tires out, but there's enough pressure there so that if you're slipping on ice or something like that, that it gives you enough traction to pull you through. So I just pulled this pin out, and then there's this big pin here, and this pin holds the spider clip, this pin here, right there. It holds the drive axles apart, and it holds you can pull these drive axles in and out, and they bump into this big pin. So it holds the drive axles stub axles or drive axles, whatever you want to call them, pushed out. And then now if you pull this pin out like that, just pulled out, and then you push in on this axle, and then there's a C-clip in here. See, the C-clip just fell out? So then you can pull on this and the axle comes out. So I'm going to go to this side, I'm going to do the same thing. Push in. And there goes the clip. And there we go, we pull the axles right out. So now the differential is still in. But that's where we have, there's a bolt here, and there's a little bolt here. And there's also two bolts here. And two bolts here. This here holds the bearing race in. And also there's a nut in here. I'm used to working on Chevys. And on Chevys, this isn't a nut. You put spacers in here, and you space the rear end side to side. Now, I haven't worked on a whole lot of vehicles, but I worked on a few. And, yeah, so this one. And, you know what, it's not very often you really got to work on a rear end. Rear ends, I don't find that that's a thing that always goes. You know, you change oil in it. I change oil in mine every 100,000. And then I can check it. And then also, if you look in here, there's a magnet right down here. So what I do is every 100,000 kilometers, I take my differential apart, my cover, just the cover off here, and I clean this magnet. See, right now this magnet is almost full. So it's going to stop doing its job. So, and that's what its job is to take the metal filings out. If anything's wearing off or something like that, it takes the metal filings out so it doesn't keep, those metal filings don't keep wearing and going underneath the little rollers in the bearings. So when it goes underneath the rollers, it's like sticking a chalk or a wedge underneath the little rollers and balls. So this here magnet catches all that. So that's why I take mine off every 100,000 kilometers. I don't know what they recommend, but that's why I always found a good time. I've never had a rear end go myself, personally, because I think it's because I do this. Even the seals, I find all that stuff stays good. and I've had lots of kilometers on my vehicles. I don't drive anymore, but I do have 5 vehicles right now. I have a Dodge truck, and a Ford F-150, and another Ford F-150, and a Ford Fusion, and a Ford Escape, which is Sherry's parents. So, but we use it because Sherry's father can't drive anymore. But that's besides the point. So she uses it for them to bring them to all their appointments, but it's their vehicle. So, and sometimes I do also do this. See this magnet in here? Look at it. Not a very good magnet. It's very, to me, it's a very poopy magnet. Not, look, barely any, look at it, barely any strength to it. So I'll take that magnet out, and I'll put in one of my super magnets in there. It's the size of a quarter. It's called a neodymium magnet. And for the expense of it, when I take this cover off, when I put my neodymium ones in it, I find it catches everything. Because like that one there was almost clogged up. And it was only lots of light stuff. So if there's a lot of fluid flowing around there, splashing around, any big heavy things, as far as I'm concerned, can get pushed off of it. So I pop that out. Look, I'll just show you how strong that magnet that is. Not very strong. Look, it's a magnet. But look, not very strong though, is it? So I'm not sure why I don't put stronger ones. But another thing you don't want to do is you don't want to make your bearings magnetic. If you make your bearings magnetic, then it'll hold all of the debris. And then so then if there's magnetism on your bearings, all the dirt is going to stick to your bearings, and then that's going to wear your bearings out. So you be careful not to touch your bearings to magnets, because then they'll become magnetic. So I don't introduce any magnets to any of this area until I have it all insecure, and then at the last thing, just before I put my cover on, I'll put my magnet down here on the bottom. I'll put it in a place where it can't be touched, and I put a nice, strong, the size of a quarter, neodymium magnet. And I find when I take it out, I find it does a better job than these. Take these stub axles out, or axles. Okay, I'm going to show you a couple types of bearings. This here is a roller tapered bearing. See how they're on an angle? So what happens is you got one bearing here, and then you'll have another bearing just like this, mirror image, on this end, and then you'll tighten the bolts together, and see how the pressure of them going together? One here like this, and the other one will be here like this, and you'll tighten it down, and then they'll keep it, and that'll keep it nice and centered, and that'll keep it tight. Now on the axles, so this one here is not so bad. Do I worry about the debris into it? Because this is on its side like this, and where it's on a taper, all the dirt fall out of it. Okay, so this one here, I don't worry about this bearing too much, because see it's on an angle, so any debris that gets in here can get washed out of it. Now these other roller bearings that we've got here, that's on the axles, these are the ones that I really worry about with debris. I like to find an axle. Okay, and in the vehicle, they're on their side like this. So I don't want any debris to get down here by these are, because these are like little barrels lying on their side. I'll try to pop one in for you. See? They're like little barrels. And then there's a channel they're in, right here. See that channel? This is the outer inside here, the bottom. That's the race. and it's got to be clean. That's where the little roller goes on. So if debris gets stuck down in here, it's going to keep rolling over that debris and crushing it into nothing. And as it's crushing it into nothing, it's scarring this bearing up. So it's going to change the size of it, and they're going to wear out. So that's why it's very important to have a magnet inside the rear end. So, and in the car it sits like this. So see, there's an edge here, and there's a place that all the debris could actually get caught down there. So you take a little piece of metal, if it came off those gears inside. See how big these gears are? Oops, one piece. Right here. So sometimes these here gears wear, and there could be little spalls, especially when you're pulling something or torquing it. So a little spall could come off this, even from manufacturing as it's first breaking in. So that's one of the reasons I take it out at 100,000 kilometers. I take it apart and clean it all out. Then when I take it out, then I know that this is all broke. At 100,000 kilometers, I know that this is broke in then. So all a little bit of wear. So then when I put this back together, when 200,000 kilometers comes around, actually I don't worry about it so much as the first 100,000 kilometers because of all the wear that this here gets from being machined brand new. Because when it's brand new, this isn't perfectly smooth like a diamond. There's still a little bit there, so that all gets wore in, so it gets broke in. And all the other things get wore in. So at 200,000 kilometers, I find there's less debris inside this rear end than when it was 100,000 kilometers, because I've tried it on my own truck. At 100,000 kilometers, I own the truck. There was lots of debris, lots of metal, and then when I had to take it apart again, only just recently actually, I had to take it apart again, and I found that there was nothing in there barely. It was 160,000 kilometers, but still, there was nothing compared to what I thought was going to be in there. Nothing at all. So that's the difference between the bearings. That's a tapered roller bearing, which, can you give me the other bearing over there, Dylan? Mm-hmm. The other tapered bearing, so I can show them how it goes together. Yeah, so this one here is going to go like this. Wrong way. Like this. So the pressure going on here and the pressure when you tighten the nut up, it all pushes it together. Because the pressure, this nut being tightened here, this surface there, it's all tightened. And then that keeps it all nice and tight and keeps it running straight. And there's a certain amount of torque for these too. Thank you.